Ba, 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 ba. Hey, what's up, gang? It is the Commander Smiths, and we are here with Commander Budget Upgrades. How this works is we have the new Commander decks, and we are taking the $20 budget and making some cuts, adding some cards, and then we also have a
Mr. Unlimited
section to give you guys some cards that you could probably put in there if you had unlimited budget. So, Lowry, take us away. Take us through the new deck that you are working on, that you did your budget cuts.
All right, so this video, we're going to be focusing on Hosts of Mordor, which is the Sauron deck. Could you, yeah, I'll read through that right now. So that's 5 of blue, black, and red, 9/9. When you cast it, amass 5 or orcs 5, and then you mill 5 cards, and then you can bring a creature back from your graveyard to the battlefield. It has trample, and then whenever a commander opponent controls dies, the ring tempts you.
So it's
but
just like a
really,
added bonus.
like how the deck kind of works is like it's kind of split between a reanimation deck and a spell slinging deck with Saruman. And I would, if you want to keep Sauron, you want to make this more of a reanimation deck, and so you're going to go in that direction a little bit more and try and leave Saruman behind in the dust.
You mean Sauron?
And so this one was a little bit more, you know, you want to fill up your graveyard, and they have some of that going on. I would say go a little bit more in that direction. And I added more cycling cards into it. And so let's see what we wanted to cut here. We as in me. But first one that I would cut in the creature is Gutter Snipe. This is whenever you're casting a instant or sorcery, 2 damage to all your opponents. And it's just, again, if you're going away from the spell slinging aspect, you don't really need it in there. And so I'd cut it for that that bit. The next one, I'm Grishnak. I don't even read. Do you know which one it is?
Which
Grish? No, not Grima.
Not Grima Wormtongue?
Let's see if I can find it. It's the second one. So Brash. Yeah, that I'm not gonna.
Oh, no,
I'm not gonna say that one.
That one's not gonna.
But it's there. It masses
there.
orc 2, and then you can still steal a creature. You're not really stealing a creature. It's, you don't have any sacrificing. You're gonna steal a little thing. Maybe you got a bunch of orc army going on, but I don't think it's necessary in this deck. So that's an easy cut for me. Next one is gonna be Corsairs of Umbar.
There we
For
go.
the cuts, this is just another one. There's a, it gives unblockable to an orc pirate. And if it deals damage, you get to orc 3. I'm not a big fan of this one. And again, I want to focus more on the reanimation, not necessarily building the orc army in this deck for me. And so I wanted to cut that one.
It also says target goblin, orc, or pirate can't block this turn. So, can't be blocked. Oh, so it's picking
Can't be blocked. Yeah.
But you can't even pick this, right? No, oh, it's a pirate. No.
It's a pirate. You got some orcs. Not a lot of goblins in this deck, even though there's plenty of goblins to choose from. Not a lot of orcs to choose from, but it's alright. If you're going with the orcs army thing, it's a good card.
Sure.
Not what we're doing here today.
Right.
Next one I want to cut is Inferno Titan. The game has left it behind, but also
Inferno.
It's that's sad to say because I love this art.
I know. It used to go in every single red deck.
Right. But I think there's better cards to be putting in here to want to reanimate. It's kind of, you know, it's big. You already got a big chunky deck, and so if you can't cycle it, I would probably cut it. And the last creature I would go with Voracious Fell Beast. This enters the battlefield. Your opponent's got to sacrifice creature, and if they do, you get a food token. It's 6 mana. It's not a lot of removal for that. And I would just
food isn't good
not
unless
be happy
it's in the food
with
deck. Food is terrible unless you're in the Frodo and Sam deck.
Right. If you're making food, that's what you should be doing. And if you want people to be sacrificing creatures, go with something cheaper.
Why isn't this in the food deck? This one wasn't in there, I don't think. I'm pretty sure.
Well, but it's not. But
I know, they're good
this
guys,
is
a
Drake
bad
Beast.
guy.
It's very Sauron-ish.
Yeah.
Right. Next one I'm going to get into is Treason of Isengard. It's a blue one, I believe. Yeah. And so I didn't like this at all. It's just putting an instant or sorcery from your graveyard on top of the library. Amass orcs too. Again, I don't know if I'm big into the orb thing, so I wanted to get rid of that. It didn't do much for me.
Yeah, I can see
And that's an easy cut for me. Next one would be Bitter Downfall. This is where Boromir is dying. He's dead.
Womp.
But it's an expensive removal spell, and it's not even very good. So I would cut that easy. Next one is Languish. All creatures get -4/-4. Again, it might be okay, but it's going to leave some of your opponent's creatures behind. And it'll kill off a lot of your creatures. I just don't like that trade. I'd rather just overpower them with reanimation targets.
Yeah.
Lidless Gaze is the next one, and this is just, maybe the flashback part is cool and why they have it in here, but you're playing, everybody exiles a card off the top and you get to cast them if you so choose. So it's kind of a
little bit of a draw,
kind of like a draw, but it's not what I want to be doing. Again, if you're a reanimation deck,
get
rid of it. And then Boon of the Wish Giver. This one is cycle for 1, which is discard, draw a card, or you're drawing 4 cards at 6 mana sorcery. It's kind of too much in my opinion. I would probably just get a better card.
Build a better deck. Oh, I do have
build a better deck. I didn't wear that shirt today. I should have.
I did. Even though we just wore it on the podcast this week, I was like, I gotta wear it.
Another one that people might get upset about, but I consider this a delayed ritual, which I would rather just have Dark Ritual, but Basalt Monolith. I would just rather have a more dependable version of Ramp. And then also 2 basic lands to fit in different lands, and we can talk about that next.
All right, good segue. All right, we already talked about Sauron, so let's get into your budget upgrades.
All right, so the upgrades again is at $13.24. There's 13 cards here.
I love that you
Archfiend of Ifnir.
I want this card in decks, and I'm glad that you got this in here. This is awesome.
It's so good. It's such a good card in a cycling deck, in anything that you're discarding. So like you got Faithless Looting style cards in here where you're drawing 2 cards, discarding 2 cards, and giving your opponents -2/-2 counters on all their creatures. It's crazy. It's also cycles itself, so you can reanimate it in this style of deck. It's a crazy good card.
Well, and it's -1/-1 counters, which is awesome instead of like tell end to turn effects. Like this is just a really good card.
It just shrinks the army and the board. Next one I would go with is Curator of Mysteries.
You're used to your curated
MTG. Go check that out. Shorts. But whenever you cycle or discard a card, you get to scry 1. It has cycling itself. Again, in this deck, if you're cycling, you're drawing cards and you're able to reanimate it later. Totally go with this kind of card. Faith of the Devoted is almost like a replacement for Gutter Snipe, because basically you're discarding a card, paying 1. They all lose 2 life, and you gain 2 life. It's a little bit of a switch. It's super cheap and an easy fit in this if you're especially going with the discard theme. Gaia Reach Sanitarium and Lore Broker over there at the right, and Mikakoru. So those are all, everybody's drawing a card, and with Sanitarium and Broker, everybody discards a card. Now there are definitely cards in here that allow you to reanimate your opponent's creatures. So
so you're making them discard so that you can take their creatures from them.
Right. So there's that potential that you can take their creatures in this. Obviously you don't have to go Lore Broker. You can go with like a Merfolk Looter type card. And just if you want to be drawing and discarding. But I was thinking if you can add other people's thing in. Also there's Notion Thief in here, and so that's whenever somebody draws beyond their first card, you get to draw a card on top of that.
So you're taking
instead
advantage.
And so with Gaia Reach Sanitarium and Lore Broker, somebody is going to be not drawing a card, and they have to discard a card as well.
Oh man,
which is a neat little thing, because it stops them from drawing it.
I like that.
You're being mean as well in that. So Grim Hireling, this one, it's a bit thin on your ramp. So Grim Hireling is going to give you a ton of treasure tokens and a bit of removal on that part too, so you can fit that in wherever you want. This is probably one of the more expensive ins at or was it Grim Hireling is 224 on TCG mid.
Yep.
And which is a great price for this card, because if you hit 3 players, you get 6 treasure, which is insane.
And then it also has the removal built in if you want to use those treasures to kill shit.
Exactly. And so, and this deck has that dragon that gives you a ton of treasures as well. So I think you could lean into treasures in this deck. Red and black treasures is a thing along with blue. So you can definitely lean into treasures here as well.
Take that.
Next one that we want to talk about is Nimble Obstructionist. It has that cycling thing. It has a little, you're countering an activated or triggered ability, which is not uncommon. If you have Eldrazi in the attack, you can counter that sacrifice trigger. It stops ETBs if you need, so it does some work. I highly suggest that. Next one is Oversold Cemetery. That's kind of just to get back these cycling cards and draw more cards into it. But it's kind of whatever you want. You're going to have 4 more creatures in your deck when you're filling it up, and it's just a way to get some of that back.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Next one is Ruthless Sniper. Whenever you discard a card, you can pay 1 and put a -1/-1 counter on something. That's just something to kind of snipe off their little creatures. It's not going to do a lot of damage. It's an early blocker, and real cheap.
Yeah.
Real cheap.
1 drop too. That's nice. Ooh, one of the newer cards, not from.
I love this card. It's real aggressive. Sardian Avenger. 1/1 first strike trample. Whenever it attacks, if that opponent has artifacts, it gets +X/+0 for the amount of artifacts they have. And then whenever Adam sacrifices a food, he's going to lose a life. Instead of gaining 3, he's going to gain 2. Right. No. And so this does some work, especially if you have some artifact removal in your deck as well.
And people playing treasures. It kind of
treasures. It's gonna be painful for them treasure players. Next one is Street Wraith. It's a there for the cycling, paying 2 life. It's basically a free draw. Yeah. And then you have a reanimation target early on. And the last card, but not the least, probably the best card in the deck, Unfulfilled Desires. You get to pay 1 and a life, and you draw a card, discard a card, and you can do that as many times as you have mana for. And
or life. If you only have a little bit of life, you might not want to do it. But
well, maybe I'll put some food tokens in here and gain some life. I don't know. But it does a lot of work. It's going to be fantastic in this deck right here. And if we're getting, again, $13.24 out of 13 cards, and that would be a massive upgrade in my opinion.
All right, now we get into the
Mr. Unlimited.
What do we got for
That's Russell Wilson, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
What a nerd.
Mr. As we're talking about Lord of the Rings magic cards, you know.
He should hang out with us. Open invitation. All right, so again, go into more reanimate style cards. So Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead, Necromancy, Rise of the Dark Realms are all going to bring back your creatures and
other people's
do
creatures
some work
as well. You can hit the Animate Dead stuff by taking others, which is really nice. And doesn't Dance of the Dead do that too? Target creature from any
Dance of the Dead.
Necromancy.
Necromancy. So all of them can hit your opponent's stuff.
Yeah, and Rise of the Dark Realms. It's everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Phyrexian Reclamation is going to be awesome in here as well because you are cycling those cards. So really what it is pay 2 and 2 life, bring a cycle back to your hand and draw a card. It's and you're always going to be gaining value. Dockside Extortionist because of the ramp. Again, you're pretty light on the ramp. That's what I would do. Shriek Maw is not necessarily a cycle, but an evoke to get something in your yard. Teferi's Ageless Protection is going to draw you 2 cards with the cycling. Teferi's Master of Hope is the discard, along with Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Misfortune are probably better than just like the dig and dump kind of cards. Victimize is bringing creatures back from your graveyard, and Windfall in with the Wheel of Fortune type cards.
Awesome. And then like we mention all the time is make sure you fix the land base a little bit. So fetches, you don't get as many basics, maybe 10 to 12 at the most for basics. Add in more utility lands, your duels, your shocks, your triomes. If this one doesn't need a triome, so you could add a triome there, a battle bond land. So whatever you have the budget for, but
available.
Whatever you have for that. So All right. Well, so I think that's it, right? I think that's it.
Remember to like the video,
Good job.
even if you didn't share, subscribe to the Commander Smiths. We would greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed this a ton. I think we did.
Yeah, that was good. I liked it.
So
Budget
all right.
upgrades. All right, that should do it.
Thanks
Guys.
for watching.
We'll see ya.